All right, so Django associations. First, I'm going to fork this over to my personal GitHub. Let that do its thing in 3 seconds, 2, 1. Okay, go along in 3 seconds. Copy, cd clear. All right, so I'm going to do a git clone in that URL. Get Django associations, cd into Django associations, and code that. All right, so we're going to start one of them. We'll see if we can finish it. But all right, so same deal as with our other challenge. We need to use requirements.txt. So in this case, I'm going to first set up my virtual environment. We'll do this quickly because we should be pros at it by now. .vnv, and then I'm going to source .vnv, then activate. All right, so we're in. Now I'm going to run pip install -r requirements.txt. All right, so what requirements do we have? So we have a different Django version. Our last project had 2.15. This one has 3.2.4. I think that's closer to newest model. I think the newest one was 3.2.8. I think when we looked it up. Let's do its thing. But all right, let's take a look at IMDb while we have it. All right, so for this, we're going to ask to create 3 models. One is actor, the other one is role, third one is movie. So we want to kind of take a step back and think about the relationships between actors and movies, actors and roles and movies. All right, so let me ask the audience there. So what's the relationship between an actor and a movie? As in the, like an instance of an actor, not one instance, sorry, but the idea of having a movie and having an actor.
An actor can be in a lot of movies.
Yep, that is correct. So an actor can be in a lot of different movies, right? Tom Cruise, he's made, I don't know, probably like 40, 50, maybe 100 movies. Let's actually Google that. How many movies has Tom Cruise made? All right. Anyone have any guesses before I look this up? No cheating.
200.
27.
Near 200. Guillermo, what was your input?
57.
57. All right. I'm going to go with like a nice, I'm going to go with 40. He's done Mission Impossibles, but I don't think he's been in too many else. So we'll see.
I say not enough.
At least 59. Guillermo, I don't know if
Closest
you're
without going over.
coincidentally close or you just have Tom Cruise trivia already known, but apparently, yeah, at least 59. I don't know why they say at least. He's probably making movies right now. But okay, that was pretty close, surprisingly. All right, anyway, yes, Tom Cruise can be in many different movies. Question, can a movie have many different actors, or do they only have one actress or actor?
Many actors.
Yep, so there we go. So we talked about actors in movies. Actor can be in many different movies, and a movie can have many different actors. So to me, this sounds like a many-to-many relationship. Let's talk about the relationship between actor and role. Can one role have multiple actors?
No.
Correct. Yeah. So when I think about a role, like, you know, if I'm thinking about what's a famous role out there, like
John Wick.
Forrest Gump.
James Bond.
James Bond. There you go. Yeah, James Bond. That is a role. The actor might be different for different movies, but like for No Time to Die, the role of James Bond is played by one actor, and that actor would be Daniel Craig. Question is, can an actor have multiple roles in a movie? So sorry, can an actor have multiple roles? I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
Yes.
Yes.
And even in the same movie, like Eddie Murphy.
I guess it's possible. So the role model, okay, it looks like role is joining movies and actors. That is our many-to-many table. Sorry. So role is our many-to-many table. So that is what's joining here. So let's actually start doing this. Hopefully we installed everything. Let's go to IMDb. So again, this is why I like to append like project and app to my folder names, because in this case, I don't know which one's the project folder, which one's the app folder, so I kind of got to dig around. All right, looking at IMDb, it looks like this has my settings file. So this is my Django project folder, and MovieDB is my app folder. So in my app folder, I want to create my models. So let's take their advice. We want something called actor. This inherits from models.model. Pass for now. We're gonna have a class of movie models.model. We'll pass that. So again, pass just says we'll add some definition later. Then we have role. So models dot model. Pass. All right, let's take a gander of our README. So again, we've done this with SQL. We did a little bit of this on Monday, but just kind of establishing your relationships between models that you create. So models can be found in Yada, role. Okay, so role table is a join table. Via this join model, a movie has many actors and an actor can act in many movies. Create a virtual environment, we did that. All right, let's create a database. So create DB, I'm gonna call it IMDb. Okay, that got created. Then I want to go into my settings file and then tell my settings that I want to use Postgres, not SQLite. And then the name of my database is what I specified. So in this case, it was IMDb_DB. It's database for database. Okay, so that looks good. Let's take a look at our installed apps. Notice installed apps does not have MovieDB added. So this is a project that was created sort of, but not fully. So MovieDB is what I need to add here. Save that. All right, so we did our two things in our settings file. One was add our app to our list of installed apps, and two, update our database specification. Okay, that looks good to me. All right, so let's go back to our models. All right, actor, let's get some fields in here. So let's go with first name, gonna be models.char field. I'm not gonna get too elaborate in this, but you guys can be smarter with your fields. We'll go last name, models.char fields, next length, 64. Let's say we track their birth date just for whatever reason.
Ankur, I know you're on a roll here. Just a quick question. After you make the changes in settings.py, is there a quick check you can do, like something you can run just to verify that that worked correctly before like I'm tempted just to run in and do this, but I'm curious just to double check that I actually wrote the right stuff in there. Is there like a file I can run or just like something in manage.py that would verify like, oh, hey, no, you misspelled this, or, oh, whoops, you forgot to create the database or something like that?
That's a good question. I don't have a good answer in terms of, I just figure out like if I get errors, I usually always go to my settings file first and double check. So there's nothing to say, hey, are your settings set up? It's more just when you try to run your project or like run your database, you'll get an error.
Thank you, Ankur.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, let's just say first name, last name, birth date for our actor. Movies will have titles, models.char field, and max length. Okay, max length. I don't know, maybe 128. I don't know, there's movies with crazy long titles. Maybe a rating, like a PG-13 or a, so max length for this would be, let's see, PG-13 is 5 characters. That's the longest we can have, I think. So I'll make that 5. Let's have runtime as another field. Models, like that time field. Okay, so that's my movies table. So the question is, what's the relationship between these two? So there's 2 ways you can create a many-to-many relationship in Django. I'm going to do it the first way, and then we'll talk about the role table after. All right. Hopefully this won't screw up my database too much. But here, we talked about using the many-to-many field that Django provides. So in this case, I could do actors, plural, just as a naming convention. Again, that is a choice. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to do models.many to many field, and then tell it I want to tie up with the actor model. Also, I want to have a related name, just so I could access it from the reverse side. So if I want to access movies, I should be able to do that pretty simply, right? So this is basically, as I said on Monday, creating an imaginary field on my actor model that's called movies. So I don't explicitly write a field here, but this many-to-many relationship establishes access from either side. I could call movies.actors to see which actors are in this particular movie I'm kind of investigating. or I could call actor.movies to see, like, if I have Tom Cruise, I could see every movie that he's been a part of. All right, so again, I want to make sure that we understand that there isn't like real magic going on. Django handles some of the complexity for us, but Django does not get to bend the rules of database design. What I mean by that is, let's say I don't have this roles even defined. I'm going to run make migrations and migrate for these two models. I need to actually get into IMDb. Do I need to run? No, all right, I do need to run requirements.txt. So we'll do a pip install. Did I already do this? I did do this, sorry. CD IMDb. All right, so we're in our IMDb folder because we have multiple projects in here, it looks like. Let's try to make migrations. So I'll do Python manage .py, make migrations. Okay, that seemed to do my migrations correctly, create an actor model, create movie model. Then I'm going to migrate. And the reason I want to do this is to show you what Django is actually doing. So if I do manage.py, migrate. Okay, it did a whole bunch of stuff, but it got my movie DB changes in there. So let's actually dig into the database. I know we normally don't know how to do this, but I want to show what we're doing here. So if I do psql imdb db, go to \definitions, \d. Let's take a look at the tables that got created by Django. All right, so notice that we got an actor table, right? Because we had an actor model. We got a movie table because we had a movie model. But notice we also have a movie actors table. This is our join table that Django created for us. So again, if you remember from last week, we talked about a many-to-many relationship needs to have a join table. So while it might be easy to say, okay, well, I don't have a join table when I'm looking at these two models. Well, that's true, but Django has done that via this many-to-many field. So it's not magic, right? We're not breaking the rules of database relationships. We still need a join table anytime we have a many-to-many relationship. Fortunately, Django does that for us if we use the many-to-many field in this capacity. All right, so a join table still exists behind the scenes, but we don't have a join model per se in the example I went through right now. All right, so this can model what we want to, but what if we need to do something else, right? So there's a reason why this role model may need to exist. So if we go to role and, all right, so James Bond is a role in a movie. So we need a character name. Let's go with character name. Is going to be a char field. Now that we have additional data, right? Like this, the way I did it before, allows me to know, actors in movies, but doesn't give me any additional data, right? I don't know, Daniel Craig. I don't know what character he played in No Time to Die, because that's not specified in either of these models. That is information that'll be specified by my role. So character name would be James Bond, or whatever the character name would be for the actor. I don't know, we could add a number of lines they had in the movie. I'm just kind of try to add some more fields here. Models dot integer fields. All right, so number of lines they had. And then, so this, again, this is serving as our join table. So we can do something like movie equals models dot foreign key movie. And then we could do actor equals models dot foreign key. So this looks more familiar to what we've been doing with SQL, right? Where we have two foreign keys to outer tables. And then this join table is just kind of storing them together. Let me comment this out temporarily. So now we have our traditional join table, right? So this is what role is going to be. You guys with me? Yep, okay. So again, this is our more common way where we have foreign keys and we're able to do this. However, we have lost something here. If I don't add this many field here, I'm not going to have access to actor.movies or movie.actors. I would need to use the role table to get that information. If I still want it, there's another parameter you could add to the many field. So let's actually read documentation, because that's our favorite thing to do, right? Let's go to Django many field. Right, we've gone to this page before. We'll go back to again and again and again. Let's see. Many field. That's what I want. Okay, let's read about many fields. We've talked about related field. That's just the alias we give it. Related query name, limit choices to symmetrical. All right. So again, I'm kind of doing a shortcut here because I've dealt with some of these fields before, but I want to read about this through parameter. So this is kind of what we just talked about. Django will automatically generate a table to manage many-to-many relationship. That's a join table that we just saw moments ago. However, if you want to manually specify the intermediate table, you can use a through option to specify the Django model that represents the intermediate table you want to use. So again, Django automatically creates a join table for us if we don't have one that we want to use, and it's going to use that by default in the many-to-many field relationship. However, if we want to create our own join table, we can still use this many-to-many field, but we're going to add a argument for through, and that's going to be set to role. All right, so we're saying the role model, it's kind of weird to say, but the role Django model is what's going to be used to establish this many-to-many relationship. Without this, again, just to reiterate, if I don't have this here, everything's still going to work. I just lose the ability to call, if I have an actor instance, right? I can't call actor.movies or movies.all, I think. I forget, but I can't call actor.movies, or I can't do m equals movie. I can't call movie.actors. I think I need the all here. I always forget. Right, so without using the many field, I cannot do this. And usually this is really beneficial to do, right? Like if I have a given actor like Tom Cruise or Daniel Craig, I probably want to know all their movies without having to kind of look up stuff in the role table. So Django provides this functionality where you can just automatically know the one-to-many from this actor by having access to these fields. So these fields are established in Django via many-to-many field as such. Does that make sense? So again, you don't always need the many field, but usually you do want it just to make life easier when you're doing queries and displaying data, right? Like if I'm creating IMDb and someone navigates to Tom Cruise's actor page, I simply want to call Tom Cruise's, on the Tom Cruise instance of the actor model and call what movies has this instance been in, and then get a list of those and show them on my page. I don't want to have to look up the role and then go through that to figure out, all right, Tom Cruise might have 59 roles. I got to look up 59 different role, instances through a query, and then find every single movie from that role. Does that make sense to you guys? Maybe I've put you guys to sleep, I'm not sure. But anyway, so in this case, I do want the many, because this makes life easier, but it's optional. But the key thing here is I use the through value saying, hey, my join table data is through this model. Okie dokes.
So essentially, just to clarify, you're just saying that through is giving us more options.
Yes,
right?
through is saying we're kind of overriding the default functionality. Default functionality is without this, Django's going to look for a join table that it created between these two. So if you use many-to-many in this case, it's going to create a join table. So that join table we saw, it's still going to create it because we're saying, hey, Django, we don't want to create a join table. We're going to let you do it. The through parameter that I removed, this says, Django, don't create a join table for me. I already created a join table here. So use that one. So we're saying, Django, don't do your auto magic stuff. I'm going to tell you how to relate these two models. Yeah, so it'll be able to know how to extract the values this way. Okay, so that was a simple example. I think I chose probably the easiest example, but that was IMDb. Again, kind of just data modeling or schema design stuff we done last week. We're just going to do it in the Django world instead of in the SQL world. So IMDb was a little simpler. We have
Ankur, could I
hosts-
ask you a quick question? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
In your last example, when you make migrations and then migrate, is it then you are now going to have a role table? You will not have that actor/movie table?
That is a great question. I should probably definitely make migrations since I added a new model and also updated a field in my movie model. So I definitely should do that. Let's find out what happens. So I'm going to, let's see, Python manage.py make migrations. Oh, looks like I forgot some required items here. So on deletes. So for foreign keys, you need to tell them how to delete relationships. So we'll do models.cascade. I'll do this for both. So again, remember foreign keys, if they rely on a different table, if that table gets dropped, you're just telling SQL how to handle the relationship. And then I want a related name just because I do. So we'll do roles and all right, so this might look a little confusing, like, well, are you creating two fields called roles in the same table? That's not quite what I'm doing. What I'm effectively doing is creating an imaginary field on the movies table, on each movie record. I can call it roles because, like, you know, the new James Bond movie or whatever movie you're thinking of probably has multiple roles in it, right? There's very few movies that have a single role. I'm sure they exist. But if I want to know, hey, you know, No Time to Die, what are the roles in it? Like what, you know, what actor roles are they? Well, I could just call whatever movie dot roles and figure that out via the related name. Same thing for an actor. I'm effectively adding a movie's imaginary field through this many field, but also I could call, you know, Daniel Craig, what kind of roles has he had throughout his careers? So I could call roles because I have this foreign key relationship with a related name. Again, this is optional. If I don't provide a related name, Django has a formulaic way to create an imaginary field for me. I believe its approach is to go role set, I think is what it'll call it. But I prefer to have my own names, so that's why I have related names here. Okay, so on delete, I was missing that. That is required. That is the error I got. Let's try this again. Okay, cool. So that worked. It's creating the model role and altering field actors on movie. Let's migrate these changes. Python manage.py migrate. Oops, we got an error. Cannot alter field movie DB movie actors into movie DB movie actors. They are not compatible types. You cannot alter to or from a many-to-many relationship field or add remove. Okay, so it looks like what I've done is not possible. That is unfortunate. So how can I alleviate this? Well, first off, I'm going to, so I could kind of drop all my tables and recreate them. That seems kind of a heavy-handed approach. Let's see if Google can help us here. All right, we got a Stack Overflow. Those are usually helpful. I stumbled upon this. Yep, I don't want to delete the whole DB. That is what I also don't want to do. So I open the migration file, change alter field command to remove field. Oh, that seems smart. So we could drop the field without dropping the entire table. So again, 99% of the time you shouldn't have to modify the migration script, but in this case, it looks like to get around what we want to do. So instead of altering a field, we want to add and remove one particular field. I'm not sure what ramifications this will have, but let's give it a try. So again, usually don't know how to do this, but in this case, we do. So looking for alter field. Yep. So we don't want to alter a field because it seems like that's not possible. So instead, let's do add remove. All right, so copy these. All right, so movie actors, movies. So this should be this new table. And that is pointing to actor. Okay, so again, we're just trying to circumvent a limitation of Django where we're trying to modify a many field. Apparently that's not allowed. So we're just going to drop that field entirely and add in a new field. Hopefully that won't be problematic, but let's find out. So I think I copied things, modified things. Okay, let's give this a try.
That last comma on line 38, I think will.
Thank you. Clear that. All right, so we'll do Python. So we've made our migrations, and then we modify our migrations. We don't need to make migrations again, but we want to migrate. So we'll do manage.py migrate. Okay, that worked. That was kind of a cool fix. But now if we dive into our database, let's take a look at, I'm not even sure if the table will remain or not. So we'll do p-SQL, imdb, db, /d. Let's take a look at what we have. So the question is, did Django drop that join table that it automatically created, or? Yep, so notice I no longer have that movie DB movie actors. If you guys can remember from way back when, can I scroll up and find it? Yeah, so previously when Django created a join table where I was like, Django, you do the work for me, he created this movie DB underscore movie actors join table. But now, since I've told Django, hey, I have my own through table, which is movie db.role or underscore role. Now notice there's no join table that Django created. It's the model that I created is what the table is. Okie dokes.
Thanks so much for walking through that, Ankur. I appreciate it.
No, I love it when you guys ask questions. I wish you guys would ask more questions, but not going to force it. But okay, so that was one Django association example went through. Again, that was one of the easier ones. You're going to have to do Medium, which is going to deal with posts, users, and comments, or similar to our Facebook example. And then Amazon has 4 models. So the more models you add, the more relationships you might have. So it's going to get a little more messy, but hopefully you guys can kind of, do some critical thought and think about, all right, you have a shop and a product. What's the relationship? Do shops have multiple products? Usually, yes. Reviews. Do shops have multiple reviews? Can one user make multiple reviews? Can one review have multiple users? And these are just questions you should be asking mentally to yourself to figure out, hey, is this a one-to-one? Is this the one-to-many? This is a many-many. Those are the 3 types of relationships you'll ultimately have. And then we have Grubhub. So we've done Grubhub data modeling last week with SQL for schema design. I'm going to be kind of recreating that in Django. They kind of tell you, I guess, the relationships. I was hoping you guys can how to do that yourself. I guess they kind of clue you into that. I'm not sure if this is correct, but hopefully they're not misleading you there. All right, so that's generally Django associations in a nutshell. Again, not too much new material. It's just kind of applying Django's relationships in terms of using the many field, using foreign keys, and using one-to-one fields. You probably won't be encountering that. Just know that it is possible and sometimes useful.
Ankur, I have a question. Sorry if this was already covered. When you do a many-to-many, do you have to put an on delete models.cascade like you would for a foreign key, or does that not apply?
Great question. I don't think I explicitly stated it, but looking at my models is not something that is required for many relationships. I think that's handled by the foreign keys. Because again, when even when Django is making the join table for me, effectively that join table is going to have foreign keys, and so it's going to have to deal with that somehow. I guess it automatically knows to cascade or not. I don't know how it's handled. But yeah, the answer to your question, no, you do not have to specify that on delete. For a many, it's only required for foreign key fields. Which is, I guess, kind of strange to me because you would think it's basically a many is like a bi-directional foreign key in a sense, but I don't know. I guess it's handled somehow.
On the whole make migrations thing, I just in my situation, I'm a little bit confused about because I run make migrations, I get no changes detected, and then I run migrate, and then a bunch of changes are applied. Is that normal? This doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I might ask you to share your screen, but that is normal in terms of if you run make migrations and you've not actually added any models, there's no changes it found, but there's still stuff you need to push to the database. Like when you create a Django project and you create a database, they are not synced automatically. Like Django needs a bunch of tables in your database in order for Django to operate properly. So when you migrate, Django has already queued up a bunch of stuff it wants to add to your database. So that's the list of stuff you see when you migrate, even though when if you didn't add any models and you ran make migrations, It's going to say no changes detected because Django has not detected any additions to what it wants to add to your database, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that is that Django, when you create a Django project, it already has, as Ankur says, it already has like a Django project. The framework already has a bunch of built-in models that are like very common for a web application. So it already has that stuff built in. And when you migrate, it applies those. But you can migrate individual apps, Django apps, by just running Python manage.py, migrate, and then naming the individual app. And it'll only apply the migration scripts to that individual app. But if you just run migrate, it'll add or run the migration scripts to the entire Django project.
Yep. Cool. Thanks, Tom. All right. So I'm going to stop the recording here.